Once the Dreamcast was discontinued in 2001, many games in development would end up migrating to other platforms as Sega transitioned into a third-party developer. The Xbox would see Jet Set Radio Future, GameCube would get Super Monkey Ball, and the PS2 would be gifted with Shinobi. From the talented team behind the likes of Skies of Arcadia, this 3D reimagining is a great example of how to bring a classic franchise back with searing difficulty, stylish action, and replayability to spare. Those not scared off by its high level of challenge will be rewarded. After Tokyo is decimated by an earthquake, a mysterious golden palace appears in the middle of the ruined city. As an ancient sorcerer begins to summon demonic hellspawn to wreak havoc, it's up to Hotsuma, the last of his Abora clan, to save the city while exacting his revenge. But when ghosts of his past begin to haunt him, along with the corrupted Akujiki sword awakening and draining Hotsuma of his life force, his mission is far from easy. At its core a hack and slasher, it seems pretty basic on the outside. Hotsuma only comes equipped with a single weapon, and aside from throwing shurikens to stun, there's not much else to it. But it makes up for relative simplicity with a tough challenge. Your sword, the Akujiki, continually drains as you play. If you do not quench its thirst with demonic blood, it eventually begins to drain your life. This turns combat into a chase, as you frantically attempt to keep the sword from reducing your health. And with enemies dealing enough damage as it is, it can be very hard to grasp Shinobi's frantic combat system. But while it's hard to master, it feels like a system which can be conquered. You soon discover the combo system known as Tate. When there are multiple enemies in the vicinity, killing one of them will freeze them temporarily before they die. This allows you to kill more enemies, with your sword charging in rapid succession. Once you kill all enemies, Hotsuma will decapitate them all at once.
I shall have my revenge.
It's a cool moment, but it's also a strategically useful one. Enemies come in many shapes and sizes, and while larger foes are usually harder to slay, the Tate system allows you to charge your sword and deal more damage. In other words, you can prioritise smaller and easier enemies in order to reduce the ordeal of larger foes. It's rather deep and stylish all the same. The game is not perfect though. A tight camera does not present much of an issue in combat, but it can hamper platforming. Hotsuma can jump and attach to certain walls, and while the motion has a certain flair to it, it can be hard to see before you leap. This is complicated further by flying enemies, often being mixed with precise platforming, leading to some of the harder segments in the game which, sadly, aren't as fair. The level design can also come off as a bit vapid. Levels often lack any sense of change, leading to samey looking corridors. The highlight of each level usually comes at the end, as Hotsuma enters an encounter with a boss. These are largely creative affairs, ranging from possessed attack helicopters, mythical creatures, to skilled warriors that are more intimate fights. They also show fantastic use of the Tate system, with strategy and thought required rather than mindless button mashing. Taking out these harder adversaries with a single motion of a charged up Tate maneuver is perhaps one of the most satisfying moments in the series. Shinobi has 4 difficulty levels, none of which skimp on the challenge. Easy is mostly manageable for those who can get a grasp on the combat mechanics, but even then a couple of the bosses are tough. Normal ups the ante significantly, taking more damage and often introducing new hazards, such as more enemies and changing water levels on certain stages. From there, hard and super can be unlocked by completing each successive difficulty. These are not for the faint-hearted. Super offers one of the most difficult modes in any game, period. But these difficulties, combined with dozens of hidden secrets which unlock bonuses, lend itself to a lot of replay value. Shinobi, despite demonstrating some bland level layouts, is a decent looking game. It most importantly runs at a smooth clip, which keeps the action fast. Hotsuma himself is well detailed and has a neat little effect, with a bright red scarf tracking his movement and flowing freely. The monsters have a few designs, and at least vary up between stages with changing colours. The visuals can come off as a touch drab at times, but they make up for it with speed and fluidity. The sound is decent, with some particularly catchy music, which makes it feel like an homage to more retro music. The sound effects, such as the growl when the Hellspawn emerge, and a slice after the Tate, are forceful. Meanwhile, the voice acting is fairly plain, but not offensively bad either. Shinobi makes the gameplay its priority, and while the presentation can come off as a touch drab, the Fast and Furious combat is more than satisfying. It's certainly not for the weak, as the punishing difficulty largely scared away many players at the time, and while it sometimes can feel cheap due to wonky platforming, the combat is so fluid and satisfying that these flaws feel minuscule. If you're looking for a challenging, satisfying ode to games of old, then Shinobi will punch that ticket with no mercy.